Good morning. Today is May 16th, and I want to welcome you to a special meeting of the Kensington Police Protection and Community Services Board. I am Vice President Sylvia Hassai and will be chairing the meeting. And I will now take roll. Director Deppie? Here. Director Shariswat? Here. Director Modavi is not present, and Director Natoli, Vice President Natoli is traveling, so we know she's not present. I will go ahead and start with public comments of items that are not on the agenda, and I ask that everyone respect our limit of 5 minutes at the most and less if possible. And we do not have a microphone today, so I think it would still be helpful to perhaps come to the podium, but to speak clearly and loudly so that it can be hopefully captured by the videotape. Do we have any comments on items not on the agenda? Okay, we do not. Then we will move to old business. And item A, and the reason we are here today, is to discuss the Kensington Community Center seismic upgrades and building alterations, and to award a contract to the second lowest bidder in the bidding process, which is KCK Builders. I will ask General Manager Constanturos to present what he would like before we speak, or I speak. But I think you know this pretty well, or you would like me to introduce the item? It's up to you.
I'd be glad when you could fill in anything that you'd like. Or
just please try to speak as loudly as possible as we can.
Okay. So on the at the April 11th, 2019 meeting, the board did award a contract to Eagle Builders for a total of $1,594,200. Since that time, efforts to reach Eagle Builders have not been successful, and it appears that they have gone out of business. And we have a memorandum from the architect William Glass included in the agenda that gives the details of that process and the bidders. So with the approval of the General Counsel, we are now recommending approval of the second lowest bidder, which is KCK Builders, for $1,669,400. That is an increase over the original bid that was awarded to Eagle by slightly over $75,000. We do have a bid bond with Eagle Builders of $148,120, and we have initiated the process to with a demand for that bond. So that should cover the difference between the two bids. And we're recommending award of the contract this morning to KCK Builders for the amount of their bid. And we're also asking the authorization to finalize a signed contract with KCK Builders, subject to the direction and approval of the General Counsel. So that concludes my report. There is, as noted, a letter from Mr. Glass that gives considerable more detail on this item, and Vice President Hassai may have some additional comments on that.
Can I ask you a question on it? Sure. The bid bond, is that put in an escrow account?
That I don't know. I think that you probably need to check with the General Counsel.
It is guaranteed by a surety company. I don't know if it's put into an escrow account, but it is made out to us. But the surety company will undoubtedly try not to pay it, as most insurances don't. Right. But we have a very solid case. And I'm not the lawyer here, but I did ask a lawyer, one of our lawyers, about this, and she just said, look, they're going to try not to pay. We have a very solid case. This procedure is one reason why the public works contract is so well detailed, and this is part of the public works contract process. We're already initiating the proceedings, and we'll do our best. I mean, hopefully we will get that. But I think it's not something that I felt comfortable sitting back and just saying, I'm waiting for that 148 to come in.
Sure. But it doesn't matter if they're out of business.
That's correct. It's guaranteed.
That
money is guaranteed by another company. Any other, since we started with board comments, we'll just go to board comments first, and then we'll make sure to take public comments or questions. Any other discussion from the board regarding the details of what Tony presented and what's been in our packet?
One quick question.
I'll note that Director Madavi has arrived and is present.
I was wondering, like, in the first class letter, maybe I missed this, but hopefully not. In the first class letter, they said that we were obliged to award bids by April 20th or return all bids. Don't bids expire usually?
So this bidder has extended his bid.
For how long?
I don't recall if it was 60 days.
I'm not sure. They knew that the meeting was today. I'm not sure we put in a end date because they expected the bid to be awarded, the contract to be awarded today.
Right. They did extend.
Obviously, if the council doesn't, then we'd have to be more specific.
But they did extend their bid.
Okay.
All right, I will now ask the public if they have any questions or comments to please come forward and just speak as loudly as you can so that the video might be able to pick you up. Are there any questions? Yeah.
I was just wondering if there's a bankruptcy proceeding against Eagle.
We don't know that, and I don't know that whether it affects the bond.
No, the whole reason of having the bond is to make sure that come what may to the bidder, the district is covered.
Oh, okay.
So we wouldn't be involved in that.
Okay.
And I would note that it's a little bit unforeseen. I've gone on Eagle Builders' website, I've called their phone line, which was still taking messages after they had apparently refused to contact us. So it was a little bit difficult. I mean, their website was up and there was no indication that they had gone out of business. So
which Eagle Builders is that?
Eagle Builders San Ramon.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because this website is still valid and their license is still valid.
Yes.
Yeah. But they have a requirement to respond in a certain number of days.
No, I understand that part. I read the contract and it's a standard contract. I understand. So how long do you think it will be before we get paid off of that bond? I know Mr. Glass said it may take a while. Any idea?
It could possibly, we don't really know. The fact of the matter is that the bond company is like any other insurance company. They will review the situation carefully to see if they have any way out of it. Normally, they might look and see if there's something that we did that it somehow impaired compliance on the contractor's side or something else like that. This is a pretty cut and dried situation, more so than usual, because they never presented contract documents at all. They simply didn't respond. So I don't think the bonding company has any place to go, but that doesn't mean they won't try.
Right. I did note in Googling Eagle Builders that there was a comment made by someone in 2018, a subcontractor who said they had not been paid on their last project. So.
That is why we require payment bonds.
No, I understand that. How much due diligence was done with regard to looking at the background of Eagle Builders?
The way Annie could speak to it, but the way the process is done, we don't get to do due diligence. We have to respond to the lowest bid.
No, that part I understand. I'm talking about looking at references, looking at past projects, seeking out information on how well they did on projects in the past. I mean,
I couldn't comment to that because Bill Glass would have done that if anybody else that I know of. But again, it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It might have mattered. For example, the comment made as a reference in 2018 that by a subcontractor that he had not been paid by this contractor would have certainly led me to look a little more deeply into what the situation was.
I understand that. Anne, can you talk about the public works bidding process?
Of course. They submit, and as part of their bid, some descriptions of projects that they've done. Right. And we look at those, but even so, the bases for rejecting the lowest responsible bidder are very narrow and honestly very costly. If you reject the lowest responsible bidder based on what we call responsibility, i.e. you say they're not responsible, they may be responsive, but they're not responsible, they're not capable of carrying out the project, you're usually buying yourself a lawsuit because they will regard that as a disparagement on their professional reputation. The cost of that lawsuit is likely to be more than going through the process of going to the next bidder So that's what most people would do. You don't, enter into the contract with them. If they can't provide the necessary documents that guarantee their performance and their payment of their subs and material men, then you go to the next bidder and proceed on the bid against the bid bond. You don't just reject them unless you've got something so strong that you could hold a hearing compliant with all due process applications in which you would find them, based on the weight of the evidence, to be incompetent of carrying out the project. That's a high bar.
Right, but if there's a history of non-payment of subcontracts, as an example, would that then lead you to possibly hold a hearing?
Probably not. I mean, if it were repeat, yes. But again, part of this required document is a payment bond where you have what's essentially another insurance company agree to pay the subcontractors and material men if for some reason the general does not.
Right. No, I understand the insurance side. Thank you.
I'm sympathetic to the argument because in our personal lives, this is what we would do. But then we have a process that we had to follow that's very strict.
No, I understand, but you placed the responsibility in Mr. Glass, who I
No, the responsibility is in the process and in the contract process.
Right, but as Council Dan mentioned, there could have been reason to hold a hearing if there was found that this contractor did not pay its subcontractors over the last 2 or 3 years, and was essentially defaulting on its contracts with subcontractors. That could have led to more scrutiny and the possibility of holding a hearing to see if it was appropriate to give the bid to this contractor. That's my only point.
Right. And likely more time and a lawsuit, and less, we only had a certain amount of time to award the contract.
Right,
Yeah.
but
So.
you're in a position now of having to award it.
It's perfectly a good position to be in, frankly. I'd rather be here now than during the process, and it's faster than having done the other thing, I think.
I'm sorry, you're in the way of the camera.
I'm sorry.
So either,
Lene?
Could you give a new timeline?
Well, the timeline is that once we award the contract, we have to notify them, and then they have 10 days, as the previous bidder did, to be responsive with a signed contract back.
And then starting and,
Well, I can't comment on that at this point. I mean, obviously, as soon as possible. They, in their contract, they have to be prepared to start, I want to say there's an amount in the contract after they sign at which they have to be prepared to start the job. I'm sorry, I don't know that offhand.
We usually give them a notice to proceed at some point, but it's, takes 2 or 3 weeks usually.
and then the abatement work.
We're going to be coordinating that with the contractor. And so for folks who are concerned about the abatement work, it's going to happen in a couple phases. The first phase is the main floor area, because that has to be done first. And then the coordination with the general contractor around other abatement issues has to be tied to their schedule.
Okay.
well, I want to thank General Counsel and Vice President Hassai, as well as Glass and Associates for due diligence and making sure that we had a surety bond. I don't want to say that we're profiting from this because, of course, that it took a lot of staff time and things to, but if all goes well, we do come out ahead. If there are no more comments, I'll make a motion, or if you would like to.
Go ahead.
Okay. Are there any other, I don't want to jump in. I'd like to make a motion that we award the contract for improvements to the Kensington Community Center, including seismic upgrades, building alterations, and bid alternates to KCK Builders for a total of $1,669,400.
I will second that motion. And I'll take roll. So Director Modavi,
President.
Director Debbie,
Yes.
Director Sherris-Watt,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. So the motion carries 3 to 1 abstention and 1 present. Or 1 not present and 1 present. One absent, sorry. Thank you. Okay, well, that actually concludes the,
Can I
Yes.
make a second motion?
sure.
I'm going to make a motion that the KPPCSD board authorize the general manager to finalize and sign the contract with KCK Builders, subject to the review and approval of our general counsel.
I'll second that motion. Director Modavi,
Present.
Director Deppie,
Yes.
Director Sharis-Watt,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
If I may make an observation to the council, I will likely not be around when the contract documents come back in. I'll be out of the country. So my acting, John Holtzman's firm, will be likely doing the actual review.
There, you do consensus on that?
They're very well aware, as Vicki Clayton has been involved in this process. Okay, so we will be adjourning the special session of the, well, I guess we need a motion to adjourn.
Quick question, did the president ever telephone in?
No, she determined that she would be unable to do so.
So we set this meeting up at 9 a.m. for her convenience, and she never showed up.
Actually, it wasn't just for her convenience.
Okay, so I got told last out of everyone once this meeting had been set up.
I don't know.
That was my error.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about
just
that.
let the record show that.
That was my error.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Director Deppie motions to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Adjourn to close session.
Adjourn to closed session. Director Sharis-Watt will second that motion to adjourn to closed session. Can I please have a roll? Director Modavi,
Aye.
Director Deppie,
Yes.
Director Sharis-Watt,
Yes.
and I vote yes. We will be adjourning to closed session, and we will come back if there's any, well, we will still come back because we must. If there's anything to report, we will report it. And we thank you for your time and attention and attendance today. Thank you very much. We are adjourned. Closed session. Good morning. It is 9:50 on May 16th, 2019, and I'm welcoming you back from the board has returned from closed session. We have nothing to report other than we gave direction to the district's council. And I will now ask that we adjourn the complete special meeting of the Kensington Police Protection and Community Services District. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Director Sharis-Watt seconds the motion to adjourn the May 16th meeting. May I take a roll? Director Modavi,
Aye.
Director Deppie,
Yes.
Director Sharis-Watt,
Yes.
and Director Hasai, yes. Thank you very much. This concludes our meeting.